Welcome to Passionate Mark Podcast.
Hi everyone, this is Passionate Mark, and I thought I'd just start just a passionate way of, instead of preparing this big podcast episode, I just thought I'd just speak to you just straight from the heart and from my ideas, because that is what Passionate Mark is all about. Even in my Danish podcast, which is like fucking passionate in Danish, I also speak about these things, and I thought I'd just tune in with you just for a little bit. I hope you enjoyed the past previous podcast episode with Ulrich. And this time it's just me. I have no guests here other than my cup of coffee, which is something I initially thought I'd talk about, but I'll wait for that for another episode. If you want to hear about that episode, it's about coffee and the health benefits and what's damaging to your health and what type of coffee could potentially make you suffer less, and when should you drink coffee and not. So that's an episode that's definitely coming up at some point. I already did a blog post on it. If you want to read about it, it's on markbarner.com. Today, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about how the state of my life, my mind, where I am right now, just based on one thing that I spend a whole lot of time in my life trying to get people happier and helping them, coaching them, even just being supportive to friends. And one of the ways that I did that was just holding space, I guess. And what does that mean? It means listening, but also acknowledging and validating other people's feelings, because I myself didn't learn to validate my own feelings, and even I had no one to validate my feelings when I was a kid. I still had my mom and my dad, of course, but having intense feelings in my childhood wasn't something that was a successful thing to do in my life, according to my parents. You should get over the bad feelings, and you should not stay in them, because they will ruin you, and they're dangerous, and it's scary, and it makes everyone uncomfortable, which is a super huge lie about uncomfortable people feeling uncomfortable about anything. And I love them. I loved them to death, because they're not here anymore. A little morbid humor there. This is sponsored by A Daily. Go to adaily.dk to know more. I've been using A Daily, and they focus on the essentials your body actually daily needs. Their omega-3 supports your heart, brain, and vision, and much more. Their vitamin D with MCT supports your immune system and muscles, especially if you don't get enough sun. And the magnesium glycinate helps reduce fatigue and supports your energy levels. No unnecessary ingredients, just clean and effective supplement. Go to adaily.dk and use the code BARNER20. Again, I'm sure you will love it just as much as I do. But I think what I learned from all of this and my own journey, and I want to share this with you, because I think you might be able to use it in your journey. Hopefully, if not, then it's a good story. For so many years, I tried to change situations. I'd walk into a room and I'll see someone being super sad, and it could be a party. Literally everyone's super happy at this party, and all I'm thinking about, how can I make the mood of that one person in the corner feeling a little bit down, having a little bit of trouble in their life? And I would go to that person, and I would probably spend my entire life and all my energy on trying to make this person happy, because, it creates a lot of noise in my empathy that someone is not feeling good when the whole room is partying. Why is this person just not happy? It didn't make sense to me, because I thought I'd change it, because that's what I would do with my own mood. I would find a way to change it to be utmost positive, happy. And I would say I am privileged that way. And I know from childhood that people talk about me when I was a child, that I was quite happy. I was quite content with life, very curious, very uplifting and motivating for other people. And I still try to be that, I guess. I'm not trying. That is part of my way of being in life. But later on, that was a very necessary skill to have, because I was put down over and over by my dad and his very strict upbringing. He would use physical violence. He would be a tyrant, lock me in and create this punishment order in our home, that if I didn't do this, then there was this punishment, and if I didn't do that, then there was another punishment, and I couldn't get this, and if I did a really good job, I might get a present, or I might get, money, or even he wouldn't use it that way, but all I actually was striving for was his his respect, his love. That was all I wanted. So all the other things were just a means to get there. I remember him telling me, I asked him when I was like in my 20s, and I said to him, like, do you love me? He's like, I love you, but I don't respect you. And that kind of tells my whole, like, it's a really good example of most of my childhood, that he didn't respect me. He loved me from a distance, and he wasn't very warm. He could be very kind, especially when he was on a summer holiday with the family with us. He was very kind, and he did work very hard. And I guess in that aspect, his love was, if I work very hard for my family, they will get what I never got. And he grew up poor, and so for him, I guess money and success was the thing to grasp at. But this all leads me down to just talking about how I then, like I told you, at parties, I would be the one that tried to make people happy, and if I could control the whole part of people, because a typical astrology sign of a lion, a Leo, is that that the person wants other people to really thrive. It might look like I'm trying to take the stage from everyone, and then just so everyone can look at me, but basically it's to kind of control that people are happy, and that they feel comfortable, and everyone is joyous and have some kind of underlying joy of being in the same room. What I today call that behavior is a recovering pleaser. I grew up with this empathy and the skills that came along, which is psychic readings and reading other people's emotions, almost reading people's thoughts, especially if they're something I experienced myself. I'm able to kind of pick that up. And it's from, I guess, micro suggestions, like micro movements in the face, in the voice. All these things are a part of it. But for me, it was just normal, and it's normalcy. It's everything that I grew up in. It's how I was. That's how I was in life, and that's how I still am in life. It's such an underlying thing that I try to read other people's energies. I'm always super conscious about what's going on in the room, what sounds, what smells, what do I hear, what do I see. And it's not something I'm practicing every time I'm aware that I'm doing. I'm aware of it now because I have created that awareness. I know what kind of goes on in my subconscious a lot of the time, at least. Not all of the time, because that would just be super exhausting. I did notice the other day, I was doing some cleaning in my apartment, and someone is making noise outside, and I didn't notice the noise until I noticed the stress that was in me, and I was like conscious about that, and I was wondering, what is this stress? Like I just wanted to get fixed. Like I told you, I wasn't used to being allowed to just be in stress or sadness for very long. You're supposed to change this right away. You're supposed to be happy. Come on, let's do it. Let's not stay in that mode. My mom would be, as a kid, when I was a kid, she would be like, look, there's a bird, every time I was sad, or, oh, like ask me some question about my interest, like, oh, what do you think about, should we draw when we get back home? Things like that, just to direct my sadness into something I wanted to do. And this helped me, but it didn't allow me to know what my feelings were. And so that would instead manifest as stress or disease or mental frustration, some kind of stress. So all in all, I mean, that's when I pick up like sounds from outside and they stress me, and normally I wouldn't know, but I would get slowly stressed, and I wouldn't know why I had like such a short fuse when there was something that didn't work. So let's say the vacuum doesn't turn on, and suddenly I'm super aggressive, like, fucking vacuum cleaner, what the fuck is wrong with this shit? And as a technician, I would start taking it apart and everything, but I would get very frustrated. But now I'm aware that if I go close the window, I will then cut out the noise, and I would then be able to focus much better. And in other situations, I'll be super happy to have the TV running as I do other things because that will boost my mood. And it's a typical kind of an ADHD thing for a lot of people that I see who are diagnosed with ADHD, which I don't trust in that diagnosis anyway. And you can also read about that on markbrowner.com. I think I actually pinned it to the top of my blog posts about how to deal with ADHD the best way. Well, at least what works for me and according to science and all these things. So after having all these tendencies to please people and make sure that I can help my friends, do better, and I can, with my intuition and also my education in becoming a psychic reader, I can kind of feel what people are feeling and I can see their path. It's kind of shown to me visually. That's how my gifts are working. And the only way I got these gifts, according to German New Medicine, if you ever want to get into that, is that it's a trauma response. I need to read everyone in the room's emotions to make sure danger doesn't exist. And if there is danger, my nervous system has to regulate and figure out how to deal with this danger and how to get out of the situation. So all in all, you can say my nervous system is pretty anxious. You won't probably pick it up from me because I'm also super good at seeming like I'm super okay. And even when I'm not. And when I'm not, I just get more quiet, which is, people who know me very well, it's like, uh-oh, what's wrong, Mark? Because it's not normal for me to be very quiet. Which is also something I'm working on. It's actually very pleasant and very nice to be very quiet and just be in my mind and be in the now. So all of these things is something I'm trying to figure out more and more. But I would say, and I want to share with you guys and you listening, that the way that I realized all these problems, we as humans, and it might be like a dead giveaway to some people, but for me it wasn't. And so that's why I want to share it. It's not just typical logic to think about it this way, but I realized that as a spiritual person, everyone has a journey, including mine. I could be like, oh, I had such a bad dad and I'm such a victim and all these things. But I'm aware that my dad, in my interpretation, my dad came here on earth in this life, in this simulation or whatever you want to call it, or in this whatever we are in right now. And he came here to teach me things and I taught him things as well. And what he taught me was for me to get deeper into my trauma so I could release something. So it's all about getting involved to devolve after, to compress to decompress after. So whatever issues you're dealing with right now, in my way of trying to deal with it is like, what is it trying to teach me? I'm getting curious instead of frustrated and angry about my situation. So I'll be like, I wonder what I'm supposed to learn from this. And this curiosity really spikes a lot of good things in me, and it spikes a motivation in me. Because I feel that we are here to learn, and I feel that whatever situation I'm in that hurt me is merely a lesson that hasn't really, grown on me, or it hasn't really turned around to becoming something productive. Something that seems counterproductive will eventually be productive. And you can be like, Mark, tell me, why do I have to be locked in as a child and my dad beat me and all these things? What the fuck is, the positive things about that? But I would say it's just because you hadn't gotten there yet. When you realize that you won't be that same parent to your kids and be like, but I could have become a good parent without learning the harsh lessons of that. But yes, that is true. But beneath that and underlying to that situation, you might actually have more empathy for your child, and you have more empathy for other people because you went through shit. And I see this happening with a lot of therapists. You would always look at a therapist and think like, oh, they must have their life in order. Like they would know anything about life and how to feel and what to do. The only reason why these people are so perfectly, aware of all these things and can see all these triggers, and even the biggest coaches in the world like Tony Robbins or whatever, they often are very good at these things because they lived through it. They walked the path. And just like I did, that's why I can help my clients as well through their hardship and their broken love or loss of parents or harsh childhood or even the trauma that they don't know that they have, or revealing, helping them learning how intuitively pick up on the subconscious so they can find out what it actually is, the main issue that they're dealing with. And this, of course, is all a process. And I'm so happy that I got to learn all these things by just, going through trauma. I mean, let me just turn down the microphone a little bit. I feel like it's too loud. I hope it wasn't disturbing to you as a listener. Anyways, so I think that there's so much to be learned from life. And the way that I now try to look at it when I'm helping a client or a friend or a family member is that I'm aware that they're supposed to go through whatever they went through, and I wanted them early on to, when I gave them great advice, I've been through the same exact thing that they went through. And now, they're just dealing with it themselves, and they, feel that they're stuck or feel like that this only happened to them. And I'm aware that it's supposed to happen to them. And my recipe to getting out of it might be what they actually needed. But that's not where the real lesson is learned. So if I gave them, if you bought a game and I told you exactly what to do in this game to finish the game, you finish the game pretty fast. And you wouldn't really have learned the skills that it needed to complete the game on your terms. So you probably tried this before if you have ever had a computer game, and I feel like this is the same thing. You get into a problem in a computer game, you try to solve it, and it's like a puzzle, whatever it is, and you can't fight the boss that you're supposed to fight in the game, or you can't solve the puzzle, whatever it is, and you just have your friend over and they look at it, and within 5 minutes or even less, they solve the game. I've been playing, as an example, I've been playing a game. My brother's stepson, Anders, is a super gamer, and I've been playing a game for probably 7 years. And I don't even remember the title, unfortunately, but it was on my PSP, and I played this game as like a soldier, and he has to fight this robot boss in the end. And for some reason, I could not fight him, and I thought it was because I had the wrong weapons. Maybe, I lost a weapon on one of the levels. Maybe that was why I couldn't fight him. I should have saved some more arrows or some more bombs for this boss so I could win the game. And I played it over and over for 7 or 10 years, whatever how long it was, and I always ended up at this boss, and I never completed it. And at some point, I find the PSP like 5 years ago, and I tell my nephew, my bonus nephew, Anders, like, I can't solve this thing. It's like super frustrating. Like, you're such a gamer. What am I not picking up on this? And it took him, 15 minutes, and he completed the game, finishing the boss. And that just goes to tell that some people to solve things in a different perspective. And when you're stuck somewhere, that's why we need a coach. That's why we need, guidance. That's why we ask our parents, like, Mom, can you come and help me? Or call your siblings or your best friend or whatever it is. Because their perspective can actually save your butt and deal with the issues from another perspective. And what I was able to do is now, because of he told me the recipe to beat this boss, I could do it. But I would have probably not gotten there as quickly, or I had to go through 10 years or 8 years playing that game, failing every time, getting frustrated. And you know what? Putting down the PSP. I put down the PSP because I couldn't beat this boss. And I got tired of trying, that I put down the game until I then picked it up. And maybe you, just like I was, are in some point in your life where some things are just not working anymore. And you kind of put down, and now you put down the game. You might pick it up later and you can say, there was no point to this game. I didn't learn anything. I didn't complete it. I didn't finish the boss. It's just a frustrating game. And it was really great until that boss is just way too hard. Whatever it is, your excuse is. And some loving friend, family member comes along and they can solve it within minutes or, hours or days. And it's not because they solve it. It's just they help you with another perspective, that it is doable. And we see this from a lot of athletes who are now breaking each other's records. And you would go down like back in time 50 years, and you would never imagine someone could run that fast. You would never imagine someone kicking that hard or hitting a ball that fast or whatever it is. But today, if you take someone 50 years ago, most of them, they're not as good as the top 10 or top 15 people, athletes. They're pretty good athletes, but if you compare them to today, and I know there's a lot of drugs involved sometimes with athletes, but I mean, just because someone else broke a record, now your mind knows that you are able to break that record. And so you will keep pushing yourself because now you see the new goal. The new goal is getting that far. And that's what I want to invite you to just think of. Whatever problem and whatever you're dealing with, you're supposed to be in that pickle and you're supposed to be in that situation, that frustrating situation. So you had to do it this way. At least that's how I am looking at life. And now I'm more relaxed when I hear people's problems. Instead of just solving them, I try to give them some guidance on what I would do. But I also acknowledge that maybe it's not to be solved right now. If it's not, you feel that the person is stuck there, or you feel that they're not progressing in any ways and they're over focusing on the things they're not good enough at, maybe invite them into looking at things that actually is working for them. So they have this sensation or feeling that if other things are succeeding, they're not failing in life just because one thing is not going the way that they want it to. And I often use this. I remember one of my first a little bit cringe videos ever uploaded to Instagram when I thought, like, I want to use my coaching for something. And I broke a plate in the sink and I was like, oh no, the plate is broken. I'm so sad. I tried to play it out and it was pretty dumb, but it was fun, for me at least. And it was definitely cringe for others, I'm sure. And I was trying to say, like, do you want one broken plate to dominate the rest of your day? Like, do you want you slipping in the shower? Do you want that to affect the rest of your day? Like, now everything is the worst day in my life just because 3 bad things happened. But if you got up that morning and you won the lottery, you wouldn't care you slipped in the shower. You wouldn't care that you tripped down the stairs. As long as you can get up and walk again, even if you had a broken leg, you're like, I don't care. I'm a trillionaire right now. I'll get this leg fixed. I'll just buy new legs or whatever. But if you're super focused on all the things that is not working out, and I know this from my own girlfriend, she can sometimes be so occupied with things not working out and her not being perfect that it takes the air out of the rest of the day. It just depletes her and frustrates her. But I do see it as that's part of her journey. She has to go through so much suffering until she's exhausted from creating that suffering herself. And that we have to understand that the suffering we create, the discomfort, the frustration, the anger, all these things is something that we create ourselves. You are the creator of your life. You decide what mood you want to be in. And if you are like, Mark, I don't decide, like, I just got fired, of course I'm sad. But you can say, finally, I'm done with that stupid job. Or if I have a boss that fires me, that job is definitely not for me. So I'm glad he's going to show me new ways. I'm super excited to find out what ways it is. Right now, it feels super scary. I'm a little bit anxious. I'm a little bit, negatively focused, but that's okay. I'm just dealing with my emotions. And, I'll let those emotions pass because I know when I allow them to be there and I don't, praise them like it was some new God that was teaching me things, but just, I accept the emotions, I accept the discomfort, and I wonder what's on the other side of this. And the more suffering you go through, that's why I use in my coaching, is like the best teacher in life is pain. And when you go through the pain, you realize you become a better person. And I guess that's where we have the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm not offering you to go through super hard things on purpose just to get stronger, but that is literally what you're doing in a gym. If you're lifting heavy weights, you're going through pain in your muscle. You actually tear up your muscles and you create inflammation in your body just so you 3 days, 5 days later have more muscle mass, have stronger muscles, especially if you keep doing it for definitely months or years. You'll become a stronger person. And we actually know, according to science right now, that if you go to the gym and you lift heavy weights, you will statistically live longer if you don't overdo it. But you definitely do work hard on it. And of course, start slow. But we know that according to science, that you have less diseases when you get older, you live longer, you have more quality of life. And yes, you have to go through that pain. It's super annoying. You have to invest in your muscles and your joints and your, good food and unstressful situation where you feel calm, and, maybe daily meditation, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Implementing these things is just, beautiful thing. We know if you pray every day, you will live statistically between 2 years longer. And if you also play racket or tennis or badminton or even paddle, you can potentially live 9 years longer. And why is that? Because you exercise, you use your brain a lot, you go through pain of trying to win, you're trying to figure things out, figuring problems out, which is like, how do I win over this opponent? But also there's a social part of it. And we know for longevity, the social part of speaking to someone, that's again why I suggest everyone have a coach. It doesn't have to be me, just any coach. And that's why athletes hire coaches, because you will see things from a different perspective, and because you cannot see yourself in a different light if you don't have some different light presented to you once in a while. So to sum it all up, I now look at people's problems as something that's educating them. Even if someone loses someone or they get, stage 3 cancer, it's a journey, and I don't wish it for anyone. My mom died of it herself, but I still believe that she put herself through that pain of becoming sick and not dealing with her emotions. She wasn't doing it wrong. It was just not doing it the way. If you wanted a happy life, then maybe don't stay with a harsh husband. He was never hitting her, as far as I know. I've never seen it. But the mental stress of him, definitely shortened her life, if you ask me. But it also shortened his life. So what goes around comes around, I guess. But all in all, I would say you are the creator of your life. That's so important to know. And you have the power to think and feel about anything, how you want to feel and think about it. And I'll get more into this in other podcasts and other episodes, how you can do that. But I definitely recommend you go to my Instagram, Mark Barner, in one word. And then, check out some of my videos. Some of it is about health. Some of it is about mental balance. And some is about spirituality. For me, it's all connected into one. It's about life. It's life optimizing. It's a healthier living. It's a lifestyle change. Changing your mindset and allowing pain and allowing other people that you don't have to change them. It's like when I'm in a relationship now, previously I would always be in a relationship and be like, if she just changed this and that, I could get, the most perfect wife. But again, what should I be changing to be the most perfect husband or father or whatever? And the truth is nothing. The truth is that you are the best version you can become right now. And even if you are such a jerk to everyone, I guess that was your job for this life, to be a jerk for against other people for a certain amount of time until you woke up. Or maybe you're like my dad. He was a great friend to some people and a really, really, really skilled doctor and a surgeon for a lot of his patients. But he wasn't a great dad. And, he did good things. He wasn't just all bad, but he was a very harsh teacher. And he was that to, I guess, everyone in the family in some way or another. We all look, and that's the funny thing, we're 3 siblings and we all look different upon how our upbringing was. So I want to invite you to see whatever happens in the world. Even we look at the Middle East, I definitely don't like seeing innocent children and women and even men dying in wars created by men who are greedy. Created by men who say terrorism is just someone doing something that you don't agree with. I'm not going to get too much into that, but you can follow me on Uncensored Freedom if you want to check that out on Instagram. But more on that in another time. But just be aware that all these things going on in our crazy world right now, it's all to evolve us. It's all to challenge you. It's all on, do you want to fight someone else? Like, do you want to fight fire with fire? I know it can work, but do you want to fight a war with wars? Or do you want to just stay in peace, and do you want to find that peace within you so you can actually deal with all that? Anyways, I hope this inspired you on Passionate Mark here. I'm definitely passionate. I thought it would take like 15 minutes for me to explain it, but more on that later for sure. And take control of your life. Take responsibility of whatever comes into your life is something that is either a lesson or something that you can cherish later, or something that you can hate until you realize how much it taught you. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but I know the way that I look at life now is that I look at things coming in, that it's an invitation for me to push it away or allow it in. But is it resistance or is it resonance? I hope you find your way. And if you ever need someone to give you another perspective, you can listen to some of my other podcasts, or you can book me on markbarner.com and hopefully get some, deal with some of your main issues, both spiritually and emotionally and physically even. So a clairvoyance psychic reading can not only fix a lot of issues, but mostly I would say it gives you tools on how to deal with your past and how to know where you're going in the future, because that's one of my skills, is I'm able to see where you're meant to go, and you can decide if, with your free will, if that's something you're supposed to do, if that's something you want to do. Some people have resistance until they call me 2 or 3 years later saying, oh my God, you were right. Anyways, enjoy and stay passionate.
Passionate Mark.
You just listened to my podcast. I just want to say, if you feel like sponsoring some of my content here on the podcast, or even on my Instagram where I have over 100,000 followers, let me know. You just reach out to me through my website or through my Instagram.